Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to the Renaissance Yorkshireman podcast. Today's narrative is about the single transferable vote, and this is the first part in 3 videos that will talk about political solutions to the problems of representative democracy as they exist in general at the moment in the world. But I'll be using examples specifically from the United Kingdom because that's where I grew up and that's where I live now. So this video will be about single transferable vote. The second video will be about vote for RON, R-O-N, reopen nominations, or NOTA, none of the above as it's sometimes called. And the third video will be about sortition, which is the random selection of people by lot to be representatives. The evidence that I'm going to give you about single transferable vote comes from the Electoral Reform Society. So if you want to see the evidence yourself, go to Google, put in Electoral Reform Society, and you will see the single transferable vote system, and you will see other systems there as well. The system that we have at the moment in the United Kingdom is called first past the post. What that means is that the candidate who comes first gets elected to that location. Everyone else's vote, who came second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, essentially it doesn't matter. So we have a situation where in many elections, the Conservative Party, for example, may get around 42 or 43% of the vote, but they actually end up with about 57 or 58% of the seats. And the Liberal Democrats, for example, will often get anywhere between 10 and 20% of the vote, but will only end up with 3% of the seats. So as a representation of how people vote, it's actually not very good. And this is where single transferable vote is better than first past the post. Now, according to evidence presented by the Electoral Reform Society, single transferable vote comes top out of 10 different electoral systems in terms of voter choice, local representation, and it comes second out of 10 in terms of proportionality. As they rank voter choice out of 5, it gets 5 out of 5 for voter choice, 5 out of 5 for local representation, and 4 out of 5 for proportionality. So it gets a total of 14 out of 15. And this is the highest scoring of all the systems that they rank. Other systems are available, but this one, we can objectively say it's ranked the best. Here's what the Electoral Reform Society say about single transferable vote. Rather than one person representing everyone in a small area, bigger areas elect a small team of representatives. These representatives reflect the diversity of opinion in the area. On election day, voters number a list of candidates. Their favourite as number 1, their second favourite number 2, and so on. Voters can put numbers next to as many or as few candidates as they like. Parties will often stand more than one candidate in each area. The numbers tell the people counting to move your vote if your favourite candidate has enough votes already or stands no chance of winning. Voters don't have to worry about vote splitting or tactical voting with single transferable vote. They just put the candidates in order. To get elected, a candidate needs a set amount of votes, known as the quota. The people counting the votes work out the quota based on the number of vacancies and the number of votes cast. Each voter has 1 vote. Once the counting is finished, any candidate who has more number 1s than the quota is elected. But rather than ignore extra votes a candidate received after the amount they need to win, these votes move to each voter's second favourite candidate. If no one reaches the quota, then the people counting the vote remove the least popular candidate. People who voted for them then have their votes moved to their second favourite candidate. This process continues until each vacancy is filled. Let's have an imaginary example. Let's say there's an area which wants to elect 5 representatives and 20 people are standing. When you look at the list, you will see 20 names. If you want, you can rank them 1 to 20. Or perhaps most of the candidates you don't like at all, so you just rank them 1 to 10. You can rank as few or as many as you like. Then, if the person you voted for number 1 doesn't get enough votes, your vote, number 1, is struck out, and then they will relocate it to number 2 until there are 5 candidates who have reached the quota and they are the representatives of an area. This is not a perfect system for the simple fact that there is no perfect voting system. However, the evidence is in. The Electoral Reform Society has done the research, and single transferable vote, we can objectively say, is the nearest to perfect that humans are ever going to get if we want to go forward with representative democracy. Of course, representative democracy is not the only system that we have available. We could go for some kind of dictatorship, but it's fair to say that dictatorships are often even worse than representative democracy. Representative democracy will never be a perfect system. However, we can get reasonably close to eliminating corruption and having true representation with some political changes to the system. Now, single transferable vote, in my view, as a post-capitalist, is necessary but not sufficient. There are other changes that are also needed, and I will talk about those in the next 2 videos. One is Vote for Ron, and the other one is sortition. Thank you for giving me your time today. Peace.